Hey everybody, getting this kicked off here. We got Mac running a little bit behind here. Welcome to the stream. We're just going to be talking about dSIPRouter and some of the things that we're going through during the week. Kind of open it up to questions. This is mostly about reaching out to you guys and seeing what issues you're running into and what we can help with, really. What we need to focus on for the project. So let's start. See if we got anybody in chat. Check it out on the YouTube channel here. All right. Yeah, for everybody who's joining, hey Max. For anybody who's just getting here, we are just getting kicked off. We're going to be talking about dSIPRouter, some of the things we're working on, some of the things that we want to focus on in the future, and opening up the questions, kind of reaching out to the community, see what everybody is running into. Welcome to the stream, Mac. How's it going? Let's see. I am getting no audio on your end. Do you want to double check that? So one of the things that we quickly talked about last week was stability and our development life cycle, how the project is getting released. There were a lot of things that we wanted to improve, a lot of things that we think we did well, but definitely always areas to improve. I think, Mac, you can chime in here whenever you want. 7.5 is where we started going back to a longer release cycle. And that, I think, is going to be bringing us a lot more stability. We really want it to be a project that you come into and it just works out of the box. And when we were moving really fast, that was something that couldn't really keep up with the small team. So I think we're going to be focusing, well, we are focusing more on stability and slower release cycles. So we definitely need to focus those specific features that we're looking at each week.
No, I think you're right. I think you can hear me now, right?
Yep, you're good.
All right, good. So, no, I think you're dead on, man. I think when, a lot of times we're trying to get things out, fast for folks, and or we're trying to add a new feature that we think that people need based on feedback. It definitely impacts, quality. And honestly, I think we need more contributors, and we need more people that actually want to test some of the features that we have, because it'd be the Mack and Tyler show. We'd be like, yeah, that feature, a couple people asked for it, let's go ahead and stick it in. And obviously we don't know if the broader community want it, but we definitely know a few people want it. So I think just getting more of a feedback loop from the community will be helpful.
Definitely. It's hard to narrow it down on an open source project. Kind of comes back to, how much are people telling you this is what we want, banging at the door saying, give us this. And some of it is, the closed source side of the house, they have all this extra telemetry and stuff that we just don't have. So we have to kind of we have to reach out and get those answers from people. That a little bit more legwork. But I think this platform is going to be a good area for people to chime in there.
Yeah, we really want people to like be able to ask us really anything about the project and really just air out like issues that they're having for we at least be aware of it because sometimes we're not even aware of we're not aware of a problem, right? Because decent router solves so many different use cases that we're not running through all the different permutations of the use cases because people may be using, you know, pass-through authentication with, let's say, the transnexus module for signing out calls, and then they may also be using the leasing mechanism of leasing out, um, you know, username and passwords to be able to do dynamic credentials. So people can be using it so different ways that we just it'd be good to hear how different people are using the product so that we can kind of come up with a better test matrix. And I think you're always very focused on like, man, we need to figure out how to test better.
Yeah, I mean, testing is definitely a manual process at this point, but it's something that would like to have automated going into the future. But again, if you're moving as such we were when we started it, we had so many new features coming in. If we made tests for all of those and had everything end-to-end tested, we'd never get the features out the door. Now that we have so many in there, we can kind of narrow them down, make them easier to use, figure out what is working for people, what's not.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's where I'm excited about is that we're going to start narrowing down on some of these things and really figuring out, well, maybe I think the thing we talked about recently was, and we asked kind of like the community about was around the carriers. Like right now, we ship decent router with carriers and a list of carriers, so that makes it easier for people to get up and going. Um, we don't have any telemetry built into that, so we don't know what carriers people are using. Are the carrier information we have in there stale? Like, I think we had talked about really, yeah, really figuring out um, is how do we maybe narrow down the amount of carriers we have to just maybe a certain set of them, and then maybe hopefully the community will chime in and tell us like what carriers that they want to have in there. So I think we narrowed it down to like Twilio, Flow Route, and it was Twilio, Flow Route, and what's the other one? It was Twilio, Flow Route, and I'm looking at our notes here, and Signal Wire. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah, when we
Yeah. Go ahead.
brought that out though, the defaults, excuse me, it was mainly based on what customers wanted and what they were using the most, and what carriers were committing to the project. So, TransNexus, they haven't committed anything back to the project, but you had which other we had a few carriers in that list that gave back to us. SignalWire kept the
Um,
project going at that time.
well, it was SkyTel actually. That was the one that was
SkyTel.
the part. Yeah. They gave, obviously they supported the project. Um, Sorry, come check us out. We are on now. We are on now. So I'm just telling people that we're out here. We are on now. Okay. So I
We
think
probably need to
that
hook up a Slack notification for that to the community.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Make sure everybody's getting the message.
Yeah. I just sent it out on LinkedIn, but I think that um, yeah, I mean, you bring up another point that me and you talked about is that some of the reasons why, well, we're trying to be an ecosystem changer, right? So we're trying to make all of this easier for people to be able to get up and going with VoIP, in particular if you want to become a carrier. And so our whole goal with having these carriers here was to help people get up and going fast. But I think what needs to happen is that we need to either explain to the carriers that are in dSIPRouter or have a proof point and show them that, hey, you really should be helping us out on this project by giving back, because we are making it easier for your customers to be able to start using your product, which means that we're helping the meter to start ticking faster,
Mm.
when using their product. But on the flip side of that, and I'll shut up after this, that I think we need to do a better job of giving back to Camilio and RTP Engine, well, Sipwise, I guess, who's still doing RTP Engine. So I think in general, we all have to do better getting back to these upstream and downstream programs or
Yeah,
projects.
some of the so the downstream is just kind of like, I guess, carriers for us in this case. But
Yeah.
like the upstreams, I think we can do a better job of like reaching out and saying, hey, because we're all in the Camilio chats, we're in Signal Wire, we're in a bunch of the different groups, the Asterisk and Free Switch groups, but we're not reaching out to them and saying, hey, we're working on this, mid registrar module, you know, let's get some people that are want to work on the project and collaborate on it.
Yeah, I think but I think now that we're finally getting out, like, and we need to get you to KuCon, because I'll be there, Tyler, so we can have a reunion. Haven't seen you in a while in person. But I think that
Yeah.
by getting out here like we are now with this podcast and um, going to these events, I'm hoping that people will better understand the value proposition that we're doing, and then we'll all get better at at being better citizens in this ecosystem. I definitely know personally that I need to do better in like communicating with these different projects about what our schedule is. Understand. We also know when there's gaps that we want to fill inside of Camilio. We just need to like take charge. Obviously, we need people to do that. So to take charge and like start, you know, doing some PRs against some of these existing modules to better fit some of the use cases that our customer base want as well. So I don't know. I just think it takes a village, right? And I think we just need to be better citizens in that village.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I think integrating into somebody else's project is always hard. Because they're going to have their own community, their own way of doing things. Who's using a mailing list? We're using instant messaging. You know, it takes a little bit of time, but I think getting integrated into the different communities, kind of asking people like, hey, what can we work on? That'll be good for all the projects, really. And I mean,
Yeah,
we saw that with a few people earlier on that wanted to contribute back. We haven't really had any follow, which was the biggest issue there. Getting people excited and um, excited about the project, and actually contributing back or give feedback, doing some type of meaningful way, and giving them a path to do that too. I think is really important.
no, you bring up a good point. I mean, we really don't have a good way. I mean, diesel router is is it has so many different components to it that we kind of pull together. You're right. We probably need to do a better job of like having a developer day that kind of talks through. Okay, well, if you want to do this, or you want to contribute this, or you want to do that, this is how you need to set up your development environment in order to do that. Um, I don't know. What do you think? I think the hardest thing for us, like the most, I think there's two things where we need help at. So this is the thing you can add in here. I think one is managing all the different OS versions and permutations. somebody like who has a love for um, working with OSs, we probably need help with that. And then the UI portion is where we really need help too. Um, because I sit back some days and I'm thinking like, like what things can we give a person that's managing dSIPRouter to make their life easier? Like, how do they know when dSIPRouter is about to fail or there's about to be some attack? So I just think through like we just need people who've been using the product. 'Cause the best people that I think that would be great at giving back would be people who use the product every day and that really have an itch that they want to add something.
Yeah, and even if it's like a small thing, we had the dialogue timeout, and that was submitted a while back, but never got it. Just got integrated in the last release, so that took a while to get in. I want to have us move quicker on those for sure, but some of the things will just be submitted as PRs and they look great, or some of them will just be like, hey, this is the line that I threw in this file. Yeah, that's what it usually is. Like, this is the line I threw in my config and it worked. And now you have to check for the n number of use cases that we're supporting. Okay, does that break something else?
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there too. Is that, and this is for all the people that are that make a request for us to do something. Um, it's I want people to understand that whenever you have a feature request that you want us to add, it's it always sounds simple in the beginning, but we have to maintain that particular feature over the life of the product. So for us, don't think that we're never not listening or never not like, oh, they forgot about this. No, what we're doing is actually looking at what is the cost for us to manage this over all the lifetime of the product. Because it's not like we can put a feature in and be like, oh, the next release, we're not going to support that. So we have to like carry it. And, we've been doing this project for a while now, we're carrying a lot of stuff. So we got to figure out, okay, if we're going to add a feature in, what's the impact to the business? So I don't know. That's I don't know if you have any comments there, but that's the thing I always cringe at.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit on the head, the nail on the head there. What's the impact on maintainability, really? Because if it's a piece of code that's sitting there 10 years, hasn't been touched, don't know if you need it still. You have horror stories like that all the time. But yeah, I think that's maintainability is something that we always have to look at. But I always try to accept change requests in any form, and then it might take longer if it's not well formatted, if it's just a line in your config, hey, this is the thing. But I always try to accept them in any form, and then give comments, and then go through review and everything. Everything that gets submitted gets reviewed. Yeah. At the
Yeah,
end of the day.
yeah. And we're getting better at that. Man, we're going to be having somebody coming on that's going to be doing a lot of our quality QA and testing and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. But I don't know. I don't know, Tyler. What's like, we're getting close to the time where we talk about some of the things that we're interested in. Are you interested? Is there anything that's like this week in the dSIPRouter world that got you of interest?
Oh, there's always something interesting. So actually, going back to the topic we were on earlier, we were talking about maintainability and stability.
Mhm.
To that point, there was some things I was looking at during another project, and it kind of crossed over. And I was looking at SQL events, and there's ways to hook into all the SQL Alchemy SQL events and make sure that for all the different DML and ORM events, you can have different checks and constraints in your Python code. So you can kind of do all your constraint type of checks that would be in DB, in SQL, and your like before insert and before update. You can do all that stuff hooked right into Python code, which is really interesting. Excuse me. I think that's something that we can kind of utilize to keep some of that stuff in like the Python code base and easier to maintain and enforce the same database constraints. Because when it's in like a SQL file and a trigger, that thing never gets looked at again because nobody likes writing SQL. And it's database specific at that point.
Yeah, so that's the thing for me. It's like I want to see if we can get out of being very database specific around MySQL and really use the power of the orbs that's in Python in particular to be able to run inside of Postgres, if we wanted to. I would love to be just follow along the familial path of being able to have like a database agnostic, backends that you can use. But I think you're onto something because every time that I have to look at a SQL trigger that we have, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta look at this, and then I have to like remember the commands to show it. Then I gotta run the commands to be able to uh, update
You
it
gotta
or
you
alter
gotta update it and have some type of debugging in there. Whereas it's
it.
kind of easier to debug if it's hooked right into before your SQL is actually produced by the wrapper, the SQL Alchemy or whatever ORM you're using.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I think that one of the things for me that I've been really looking at is how can we just make it easier for people to get started? Like I know right now it's easy to get started with dSIPRouter, kind of, but how can we make it easier? And I've just really been looking at ways that we can make it almost wizard based that they can get started with their first use case. But again, I'm not as passionate about it until like a user wants it. But in my head, I'm like, because sometimes I down, I'll do a test run, get decent router up, and I'm like I know what to do, but do other people know what to do, right? Because we got the carrier groups, we got the endpoint groups, and then we have the outbound route. Like, do people know what to do, and would it be valuable if like the first time you log into dSIPRouter, it says, "Hi, um, um, do you want to have like pass-through authentication? Give us the IP address of the free PBX or Fusion box and give us the IPs of your carriers." And then it goes and like do 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 do, and then it's like that do 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 do, and then and it creates
Does the
everything.
AI typing?
Yeah, yeah, that's the AI type of do do do, and then it automatically just sets it up for them, and then they can get off and running. Um, that's one thing. I have one more, but I'll let you go. Is there anything else for you that you're thinking about, or anything that got you like, wonder if we did
Yeah,
this?
so uh, I'm definitely looking into the AWS side of the house. We still haven't got a lot of feedback on how important that is to people. We only had a few customers actually asking for it, and it's a lot to maintain the images. So looking into seeing if there's some way we can hook into our Terraform scripts or Packer, make it automated, at least up to a point where it gets QA. So we don't have to spin our wheels doing that. It just takes so long to do it right now.
It,
So
it
that's something I'm looking into. Hopefully we'll have a solution for that. They also have like the bundled licensing now. So I think that would make it even easier for people so they don't have to like go over to theopensource.com, check it out, like check out the license and then get that, go over to AWS or to Google Cloud and then create your instance, then apply the license. So just less smaller entry barrier to entry for people coming in that want to just try out like the themes, license and the features on core,
yeah. Oh, I think that's dope. I think the other thing for me is more feedback in the UI. Like, I don't so I'm still trying to figure out, and for those out there are not SIP people, please drop me a line, right? This Mac at dopensource.com. Um, what I want to understand is that can we give better feedback to people in the UI? For example, if they're using registration to like username and password registration on the carrier side, when they set that up and they hit the apply button, the reload Camilio, I almost feel like on the carrier group, it needs to be a little green button that says, registered. Right now, you don't know if it registered or not until you go do a SN rep or you go try and initiate a call. And just trying to figure out for the person that's like not a super heavy Linux person, um, you know, can we just trying to think about what can we do to make that experience better? Um,
Mhm.
so
There's a when we looked into we built a Datadog Camilio module, and there's so many statistics in there, and you also have like all those live registrations, everything. There's a lot that we can tap into with that JSON RPC interface.
mhm.
I think that'll be pretty key.
And that's a good point. We need to
Cool.
expose that. We need to expose that data dog. Because really, with the data dog stuff, you just need an API key. And if we make it simple, then people can have these metrics sent to their data dog uh, interface, and then they can start getting statistics or data points about how their decent router instances is is operating basically.
Yeah.
But
So we did build a few modules there. Got a couple that were NPRs. They have a completely different setup for their project. Um, I don't know. It's a lot to maintain. So it's like if it's not helping like our customers as well, I don't know if we want to spend all that extra time. Because I think a lot of people probably aren't using that. Well, I see a lot of people with I think Zoho as an alternative. Um, Logstat I think is what most familiar guys are using. So I think people are using other logging solutions.
yeah, I'm just trying to think like I think we just got to figure out who the, who the customer is that we want to build it for. Like, yeah, it'd be interesting to figure out. Like, and that's good. That's a good thing. Like, if you are using, and I'll put this into our dSIPRouter community as well. Like, if you are using some monitoring solution, let us know what it is, because I think we want to better understand um, what people are using so that we can make the experience better from a decent router standpoint. So please let us know if there's uh, a a certain monitoring tool that you like, because I think we just need to like I think we just got to figure out like who that core audience is and maybe focus on that a little bit. I don't know, just thinking.
Yeah, find the right platform that everybody wants. What people want to be using, what people are going to be using, really. And then support that.
Yeah, and I think there's different we have obviously we have users and then we have customers. So I think a lot of the users may be using all the open source stack, and then some of our customers are using like Datadog to do some of these things. So I'm like, because Datadog seems to be the new kid on the block. But I don't know. This is all good stuff. I want more people to give us feedback um, on that. But here goes the other thing. A couple of things. So we're gonna be at ClueCon. Um, in a few weeks. Let's see here. When is KubeCon? Ooh, KubeCon is
Is 12th August.
there. It goes. 12th of
Coming up.
August. 12th of August. Yep. Wait a minute. Yep, you're right. 12th of August, 12th to the 15th. And we'll be there. Let's, definitely, for those who are going to be there, just if you're on our, we have a Slack channel. It'd be great if you just ping us on the Slack channel. Um, I'll give you the Slack link here in, let's see here, invite people here. Let's see. And I'm going to put it in this chat here. And I'll post it part of this video when it actually goes up. And let us know if you're going to be at KuCon, and we'll definitely want to schedule like a little dinner that we can kind of just hang out, or maybe we'll pick one of the actual events that they already have going on, and we'll just kind of meet up around there and just talk about stuff. Just if we even just not talk about dSIPRouter, just talk about just in general, like like just meet one another as humans. But we would love to get your feedback for sure.
Yeah, just see what's going on in the community. I don't think we're going to be. Are you giving a small talk there, Mac?
I am. I'm giving a small talk on dynamic SIP credentials. So it is on Thursday, August 15th at 9:45 a.m. So that's what's going on there. But we need tell us where other places should we be? Like, should we do other events around? We typically do Chameleon World. I would like to go out to other places, but let us know where folks are going to be, and we'll love to come out and talk to more people and just figure out what's going on in the community and what stuff we need to add. Especially definitely I want to shout out to the Fusion PBX folks. Like, definitely we want to spend more time with y'all and figure out what you need and see if we can add more features into dSIPRouter or take the features we already have and kind of tune them to fit around some of your use cases, which would be good.
Yeah, I mean that's that's something that he definitely was hesitant to do anything with the API on Fusion, and if there was a catalyst, us or somebody else, us and some of our community members saying, hey, we'll help build it out, you integrate with us, and then that kind of builds their project, builds ours.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, right now the way you get the Fusion PBX API, you have to pay in order to get it. And I get it. Everybody needs to make money. I mean, we charge people too. So that's not a big deal. But I do think there's an opportunity to you know, bring value to that community um so that both projects actually um, can win. Like for me, I think that one of the things I would love to be able to do, and I know we're running over our 30 minutes, but we started late. But um, like right now with Fusion, right, for those who don't know, with our integration with Fusion right now, is that any of the domains that get added to Fusion, they automatically get added to dSIPRouter, and dSIPRouter now knows how to route domains to a particular Fusion PBX server. The one thing that we could extend there, and I haven't got a lot of feedback here, is that when somebody adds a DID to Fusion, we could also add that DID to dSIPRouter. I haven't heard that, and I haven't wanted to push my desires and want on the community. But I'm just surprised nobody's ever asked for that.
Yeah, I think most people, once it's set up, all the traffic to that domain goes over to that box. So then if they want to do extra routing at that point, they just have the routes for DIDs on Fusion box. Provisioning was an interesting one. I think it works pretty well. It's supposed to be, it forwards through the HTTP request, but I don't think there's any support for FTP. Provisioning is hard because you got Nginx and dSIPRouter in front, and which domain goes where. You have to possibly the authentication with the client too. And then usually it's configured in templates. So trying to make sure that all those work on the proxy side as well. They might just be sending different type of data, in their requests for the provisioning server.
It's a good point. We haven't really talked about that. I'm going to repost the video on the provisioning. So basically, for what Tyler's talking about is like if you have multiple Fusion PBX servers and you want to, obviously you need to provision phones. Instead of having your phones directly provisioned to each one of your Fusion PBX servers, you can have it provisioned through dSIPRouter. dSIPRouter will then route it to the Fusion PBX server where that domain resides. It kind of works like pass-through, but just for provisioning. And you know what? We don't really get a lot of people asking about that. And maybe I just need to do a refresher. I want to repost the video, but then I may do a refresher because I do know some changes had happened on some of the latest version of Fusion. So I probably just need to go through it and just make sure it still works as it should. But we really don't get people asking about it, which is I always found kind of
Been a while. Maybe it's because there's no button. There's no button or setting there that they can that people can click. Visibility is definitely part of it. We could ask again.
That's a good point. I guess we don't really have anywhere where it says provision. It's just there, and it just it just works for the most part. But that's a good point. All right. So we're getting close to the
possibly something to update in the documentation, but
yeah, that too. Yeah. That documentation. Yeah. So I don't know. Any final words from you, Tyler, for this week, and we'll be back next week.
No, I think we kind of went over a lot of good things here. We'll keep it short and simple. Look forward to KlueCon. Look forward to getting some more feedback. Hopefully, a little bit more feedback in the chat. We'll have to make sure we get started on time next time. So. Yeah.
That's all good. I mean, that's all my fault. So I think next time we'll get started on time. And I think that the other thing is that, interact, it's definitely me and Tyler are just really easy going. So if you have questions or you have ideas on the project, just drop us a line, or if you're watching the playback here, just drop into our Slack channel and just talk to us. DM us. We're really open, really easy and accessible. So we just want to see the project grow. We want to make sure it's growing to support what you need, not necessarily what the Tyler and Mack show wants. So definitely just give us feedback. So with that, we'll end this week's session. We'll see you next week. So have a good week.
See you next week.
See you later, Tyler.